Welcome to Lockbox, a podcast providing real estate professionals with action items for success. My name is Jeffrey Brogger, and I'm going to be your host. I'm the founder of two real estate marketing and tech companies, STEEZY.Digital and realnurture.io. In this podcast, you'll learn from top 1% real estate and mortgage brokers the exact secrets to their success. Welcome to Lockbox. Welcome to the Lockbox podcast. My name is Jeffrey Brogger, and we are here with Nick Kyte. Thank you for being here, Nick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell our listeners who you are and where you're from.
So Nick Kyte, born and raised in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which is the nation's capital. I've been in real estate now. This is my 8th year. Absolutely loving it. We are going through a really, I would say, huge boom in the Ottawa real estate market. So it's a really exciting time for us here in Ottawa and for my business as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think everyone has experienced a boom since COVID, which was not expected. But, right when COVID happened, everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen, right? Listings pulled off the market, buyers stopped. And then all of a sudden, spring 2020 on just started getting crazy. Sellers getting top dollar. And because of that, other, neighbors seeing, oh, wow, Jim and Sally got $50K over asking. And ever since then, we've been in an inventory battle. So yeah, pretty crazy year. I'm curious, what got you into the real estate industry?
So real estate has always been something I've been interested in. And I think it was the mesh of my creative side, as well as, working with people from my past in HR, human resources. And it's just kind of matches everything that I like and enjoy. And so I really don't even feel like it's work, because it just kind of taps into everything that I am as a person and that I want to be for my business.
Awesome. And you mentioned this background in HR and working with people. Real estate is such a people business. And I learned long ago, even selling Cutco knives, that the product that you're selling is not really what people are buying. They're buying you, right? And so having that connection with people and caring about people always takes you far in whatever industry you're in, because whatever industry you're in, other people got to buy what you're selling. So it's really, every industry is a people industry. I'm curious, this podcast is about the actions that top 1% real estate brokers and mortgage brokers are taking that lead to their success. So, what's the single most important action that you take on a daily basis that you attribute most to your success?
And it's super basic. And when I say it, you're probably gonna be like, really, Nick? But it's drinking water. And the reality is with our business being where it's at, and a lot of people's business, it is days, evenings, weekends, afternoons, and everything in between. And honestly, when if I'm thirsty and I just don't feel that I'm on. So that simple aspect of adding and ensuring that I'm drinking lots of water right here is what I think allows me to be quick on my feet and work the hours that are required in this business.
Interesting. So I have my coffee. There's water in coffee, right?
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't know that coffee actually dehydrates you, as well as, Red Bull and a lot of the other energy drinks. So I got my water right here too.
So
I agree with you.
You're all set.
Yeah. I got to have both. No, I love that. And, having a strong physical base sets a foundation for the rest of your business. I've been a big believer in that for a long time. So when it comes to your business, what percentage of your business is referral? And then, what percentage is new business?
So right now I'm working at a 93% referral rate. And that is something that I'm extremely proud of and grateful, because pretty much what that says to me is that my clients, current, past, and present, trust me enough that they will, refer me to their friends and family and know that they're going to be taken care of. So that is in itself the business that I've always wanted to run. And running a referral-based business is for me is ideal because it's who I am as a person. I want to work hard for people. And in turn, they see that and refer me to like-minded people, friends, family, and continue to get a chance to expand my business and brand. And I'd say a second component to new business, or maybe just people seeing me through a different light, would definitely be in social media. Some people may have heard my name or whatnot, but when they come and they look on different platforms, they kind of see that personally is who I am in business. So it makes it really simple that way. I don't have to put on a persona or, switch hats. What you see is what you get. And I think that's what a lot of people enjoy about working with me.
That makes sense. And one of my other clients, he says, or I actually describe him as like, he doesn't have to change character. And, that makes total sense that you don't have to change character. You're yourself. And therefore it's easy, right? It's not taking energy to try and like mentally switch hats and remember what you said and all that stuff. You're just yourself everywhere you go. And due to that, then I think you're creating a lot of authentic connections where people then trust you and they're willing to refer you. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
What systems do you have in place to increase the amount of referrals you receive? You got to have like some kind of, mailers, pop buys, like different things that are a staple to keep people with your name at the top of their mind, because they could trust you during the transaction, but 3 years later when their friend needs home, statistics are they've forgotten your name. It's just, most 80% of people say they would work with and refer the realtor that they just worked with, but 4 years later, only 12% remember who it was. Mm-hmm. So, how are you keeping in touch with people? How are you staying in touch with them and generating those referrals consistently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a client appreciation program. It's that simple. So I, will send out information to my clients on anything lifestyle wise, real estate, whatnot. I update people. I send them birthday cards, anniversary cards, home purchase anniversaries. I throw client parties. I think that is in itself one of my absolute favorite aspects of my business. Is every year I get people together. I get people together. Obviously with COVID last year and currently it was a little different, but we did pivot and we did an awesome pizza party pickup, which was so well attended that it actually blew us away. And so I think people really understand that when other people are saying, oh, because of COVID, we can't do something, the Kite team didn't. We said, we want to make sure everyone's safe and not expose anyone to any issues or whatnot. So we just set up a table outside one of our favorite places here in Ottawa at Salle St. Marco. They made fresh pizzas and people had their time slots. So whether it was between 4 and 4:30, 4:35 or whatnot, that way we limited the contact. People came, they picked up their pizzas, had a quick chat, and they went and enjoyed their pizza. So I think that would probably be the simplest way to say that, being top of mind for me is just natural because I'm just want to take care of my clients. And so I'm always around, I'm always answering their questions. I'm always being checked in. And, that says itself in terms of the referral-based business.
Yeah, that's so key. I like how you did not use COVID as an excuse to not do client appreciation activities. You got creative. You worked with your team, you worked with the local business, that pizza place, and you were able to then not only drive traffic to the business, which they appreciate, and then I'm sure that, that business owner will now refer you to other people.
What's great about that too is the business owner is also a client and a lot of people that work there. So it's amazing because I get to support a business that I love and clients that I love and friends. And to me, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. I love that. And then through that process, you're reconnecting with clients and, giving them a dinner in a time of need when a lot of people can't even go to the grocery store or do other things. And, they can swing by and grab dinner. That's awesome. So, you have systems in place to just appreciate your clients and stay in touch with them, which is amazing. I'm curious though, what's the number one most profitable lead generation source outside of referrals?
So again, it would be providing key information that either clients are expecting or that they don't know about. And so I do a lot of updating on, let's just say, the Ottawa real estate market. It's moving so fast. And, each neighborhood, each type of home is unique to those sellers. So actually giving them a local snapshot about their area as a micro community in the auto real estate market, I think is something that my sellers really appreciate, and is why when we're having conversations and speaking on, Nick, what's happening in the market? Can you believe this house sold last week? Well, what can we expect? That's where I do my research, and I can show you what you can expect, and here's why. And so I think that kind of market knowledge and just being reachable and understanding that sellers and buyers, they have a lot of questions. They're not doing this every day, so they're unfamiliar. So I just take what I do every day and I share it with my clients. And I feel that that's a value add that is tenfold. And I always get follow-up questions, and then we're going to consider selling, and we like this information. And I think that in itself would be probably one of the second, because people forward that information onto their friends, and then I'll get calls. So, which is great. I'll be like, oh, you saw the video, and I don't know you,
so,
but
organic content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putting content out there. And this is key, by the way. I do this for my clients. It's called keyword research, but you seem to have that knack for finding what people are talking about and then answering the question. So what's your process for that? Creating content that's actually relevant, that people care about, not just like feeling like you're creating all this stupid fluff content that no one even likes or comments or generates any business. Like, how are you focusing on creating videos that people are sharing? Because that is the biggest vote of confidence in a video, when people put their name on it and share it and say, I think this is valuable to all their friends and family. That's the biggest compliment that you can get, and the biggest way that you can virally tap into so many networks if you can create shareable videos. So how are you doing that? How are you doing the research for the content?
So what I do is I keep everything very short and very direct. I don't just say information that they can search or they see on the local news. I take that as background information, but then I put forth the real stuff that people don't want to say. Like, for instance, here in the Ottawa real estate market, if you're looking for a freehold townhouse under 600,000, your days are limited, because the average sell price now is 608. So I'll say stuff like that. Whereas, other information would be like, oh, average townhouses are 608,000. But what does that mean to them?
Yeah.
So I'm letting them know that if you have, a budget, and your expectation on a certain property type or in a certain neighborhood is that, well, if you don't have that now, the market's not going down. So you have to readjust your expectations and work with someone who understands how fast the market is moving. And I think that always comes back down to that kind of local market update. And yes, people can go on the news and see, oh, Canada real estate is up, whatever. That's fine. Or what's happening in Toronto or Vancouver. Great. That's good for them. But they want to know what's happening for me and what's happening for my local neighborhood. And that's what I think people really enjoy, and is why they share.
Got it. So you hyper localize it, but you ask yourself that key question: why does it matter to them? And that's so key. I mean, coming from a marketing standpoint, it's so easy to go create content or write something and do it in a way that resonates with you. But honestly, you don't matter. Like, if you want to connect with people, you need to talk to them, because they're reading it, right? They're viewing it, they're watching it. So you're asking that question like, cool, the median house price went up to 608. What does that mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah. Like, what does that mean? And be honest. That's what I love about real estate is everyone has different opinions, which is great. Not everyone's opinions mesh with everyone. So maybe I'm saying something, it's too blunt. I'm not going to be a fit for someone, which is completely fine. But for the people who continue to, use my services and support me, they see value in that. And so I'm going to give them the value that they're expecting. And, in turn, I believe that it just reinforces our good relationship.
Yep. Absolutely. That makes sense. I like your thought process behind it and making it relevant to the consumer. I love that. So Tesla reinvented the car buying experience, and there are a lot of agents out there that have mixed feelings towards the big companies that are trying to come in and disrupt the real estate space. So do you think that the real estate transaction will become mostly automated by 2030?
I don't. I think that there's all different types of business models, and each year things are evolving, and I think there's room for everyone. And I think that consumers, like any type of business, will always have options. But I personally feel that the more things go, online and digital, that people are losing that personal touch and that connection. And I think that when you have a business that reinforces that you care and that you can be trusted and that you're there for them, I think it's invaluable. And so in terms of the clients that I want to work with, that would be my demographic. But 100%, there's going to be other business models that work for other people. Some people don't want, someone to keep in contact with them for the rest of their life. Some people just want, come sell my house, help me buy a house, and see you later, which is completely fine. There's lots of other agents out there that can support them, but that's not for me. And so I think even with COVID being this pandemic, everything's going on, I think it's just reinforced, especially when buyers are looking in this competitive market and sellers are looking to maximize and try to, obviously try to get top dollar. I think the personal touch and that real-time information is vital.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. In my opinion, I feel that although some aspects might get automated, little like, there's so many pieces of each transaction, so many people involved, but the realtor is at the center of it all, right? There's all these, transaction coordinators and loan officers and, escrow and, there's so many pieces, appraising. And so I think that some of that might get slowly, like one by one, like enhanced, going paperless, but the overall having an agent represent you who's almost like a lawyer with your best interest in mind, that understands the language of the transaction that you're about to go into, right? And understands the local market and what should sell for what and how much you could get for it. That expertise is, I think it's pretty much a situation where you can't duplicate it at scale with a tech company. And, I tend to agree with you that a percentage of the market will want to say, hey, sell it as is right now, give me an offer, boom, I'm done. And for that, the iBuyers would be great. And I know a lot of top brokers that don't fear the iBuyer. In fact, they include it in their listing presentation. And it's part of, like a 3-step option process where it's like, hey, if you want, we can get not only iBuyers, but also local investors to look at your house, and they can give you a cash offer, and they'll go through like all the options because they're looking out for the best interest of that client and what they want. And they know that when they lay it out on paper in front of the client, then it's going to be the clear choice to go with the realtor because they're going to get them top dollar and they're actually less fees than a lot of those other companies. So I agree with you. And I asked that question to alleviate some of the fears out there.
Absolutely. And you make really good points. And I think what it comes down to is that there is a commission paid. It's actually compensation, because if you don't get the job done for them, there's nothing being paid out. And so From the listing side, I can say that I don't know too many businesses that just put up all the costs up front. And if something doesn't work out, you're out all that money, right? So, deciding who you want to work with and trust, it's on both sides, because, this is a business and, you have to work with people who value and trust you. And in turn, you just do the best you can for them. And then when you do that, they turn around and how lucky am I to get referred to their friends and family?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes complete sense. And I'm curious, you have some interesting things about your particular team that seem to have so much attraction to clients, or like stickiness in a sense. And you mentioned, your client appreciation things that you do, but is there anything else that you do that really nobody else in the industry does that you know of, or something that's like super unique?
I think it really does come down to communication. I can say that majority of the time, and I think a lot of my clients and friends will say the same, is I do respond almost immediately, unless I'm in an appointment or occupied else, but I do get back very quickly. And so I think a lot of my clients, even sometimes, like if it's 10 o'clock at night, I'll get like the text like, Nick, don't respond. It's okay. Get back to me in the morning. But I'm not built that way. It's like, no, if you have a question and you're sending it and I can answer it, I will, but I will always respond, even if I have to do some research, because a lot of times I just don't answer off the, oh, maybe this, maybe that. I have to do some research, but I'll respond and say, got it, on it, and I'll get back to you tomorrow on it. Perfect. Thank you. And so I think that when people reach out, they're reaching out for a reason. And so I acknowledge everything, whether it's just, I've got your text, let me look into it, just an appointment, I'll get back to you right away. It puts people at ease. And I think when we're in a very stressful climate, that kind of immediate response that invalidates that, yes, this is important and something needs to be taken care of, we're going to take care of it right away.
Response rate. I mean, a lot of people might think that that's not a big deal. I can get back to them the next day, next morning. Gosh, I'm always on. Like it's a freaking Sunday. I'm with my family. Like I'll get back to them later. But in reality, some of the biggest corporations in the world focus on this as a key performance indicator, to the point that Facebook will rate your page and let the public know your response rate, how quickly you get back to people through Facebook Messenger if they ask a question. And if you actually get badges and like higher promotion from Facebook if you respond within a minute, responds immediately. And that, we got into, my company STEEZY.Digital developed real estate Facebook chatbots with AI so that they could instantly respond back and, increase the response rate from pages. It's almost like you've created that environment in your brokerage for any question, for text, for anything, boom, 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 that focus on getting back to your clients very quickly, really valuing that they just asked you a question. And like you said, even if you have to go get the answer, boom, you respond back, hey, let me check on that for you, right? But it's that immediate, within seconds or a minute or two, they're okay, they've alleviated that feeling.
Absolutely.
I think that's really key. That's a subtle thing that a lot of people don't focus on or realize, is that that's important.
Yeah, and I think that doing the simple things great is how I run my business. I don't try to overcomplicate. And to be honest, I have messages coming in Facebook Messenger. I have them coming through Instagram. I have them coming through LinkedIn, email, text, call, whatever, FaceTime, Zoom, all these platforms, whatever works best for my clients or whoever is reaching out, that's the mode that I respond on. And so if someone, for instance, if I have to get back with a long email or detailed research, then obviously the best form is by email. So I'll respond and, request an email address to use and respond in that so that they can get the value. But really, that's one of the things, is whatever communication mode is the preference for my clients or whoever is reaching out, that's the mode I respond on.
I like that. And you keep the conversation on the same channel. I've been really big on that. If a lead comes in on Facebook and click to Facebook Messenger, we collect their phone and email, but a lot of that conversation we have on Facebook Messenger. And then, the same thing on, a lead comes in and they start to text back right away. It's all right, cool. We could try and schedule a call and send follow-up emails and send that stuff, but they've just voted that they want to text, right? So keeping it on there, unless, like you said, you're going to send them a comprehensive report, yep, or set them up on a save search via email, then you need the other thing. Yeah, that's cool. Are there any quotes that you live by that you think of often? You might have it on your wall.
There's quite a few, but one that stands out is, just follow your heart and intuition. It's not wrong. And so I really do trust my gut. It's funny, just yesterday, I had a client who has been looking for a property and has a tight budget for the market. And we were able to see a property on Sunday and set us up for an offer presentation that took place yesterday. And we were in the top 3 for the offers. The listing agent let us know that we were in the top 3, and have we really truly provided our best and final offer? And if not, then speak with your client and come back with your best and final. My gut told me that we didn't need to improve, that we came in with our best and final. It was well planned out, strategy-wise, it was on point. And I trusted that. And my client asked me, how much do you trust yourself? And I said, well, I trust myself 100%. And so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to go with what I'm telling you, and then you tell me what you want to do. and he agreed. Nick, we put our best foot forward. If we don't get it, we don't get it. Well,
Right.
we got it.
Ah, nice.
And we didn't resubmit. We provided our best and final. It was strong, and we stayed put, and we got it.
Amazing. That's a really cool story.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, trust your gut, Nick. Thanks. Exactly. He's trying to save some money. So it all works out.
So your quote would be like, I trust myself 100%.
In this bit, you kind of you get all these kind of different information from all these different sources, and you have to listen to yourself. And if you don't, then like, I don't know how else I would be if I wasn't me. I get it. I sense it. Something's off. I may not know 100% that something's off, but I know that something's not right. Well, and so, when you're dealing with people, especially during stressful times, you have to be able to read the situation and respond in a manner that resonates.
Yeah. Once again, the value of having a local realtor expert, someone who can put a feeling to it, not just looking at data analytics, from some headquarters in some other state or country, but a human being who's there with you to represent you and say, you know what, this feels right. This feels like something's off. This, and having that intuition based on experience, based on, the emotional knowledge around you and like reading the situation. You can't duplicate that with a machine, right?
No, you can't.
Yeah. So I love that. And you got to trust your gut.
I agree.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. So I'm curious, a lot of people, they look at the success of someone else and they get the comparison envy, but I'm sure you've had failures in your life. So how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
I do, actually. Okay. And I've had more than one. So, but one that stands out that I have used and reused over and over again is the first listing appointment that I ever went on. Everything was going so well. I explained, how we would sell your property, what we would do. This is, the price range that I see it selling in. These are some of the strategies. And they were interviewing 3 other agents, and they were going to make a decision the next day. I felt confident. I felt like, wow, like I can do this. I felt good. I got a call the next day that they did decide to go with another agent. And then in my case, no matter what business I was in or what career, I always asked or sought out feedback. So the seller was on the phone and I just said, is there anything that I could have done better or provided you that would have allowed you to choose me to represent your home? Because I would really like to know, because I don't want to make that mistake again. And so this is why they call me the options man now, because he's just said, I didn't provide enough options. I said what I thought, and they needed to see what the various options were so that they could choose what works best with my opinion. And you know what? Extremely valid point. Never made that mistake again, ever. And when people say there's options, like it's like 1 A, B, C, 2 A, B, C, 3, like I will give you every single option there is, and I will give you my opinion, but you will always have tons of options. And that was from 7.5 years ago.
Yeah. And if you would not have asked that question, you could have continued on unknowingly, basically placing your opinion of what should happen onto people and not allowing them to choose the various options that you're providing. And I found that the option close is one of the strongest closes out there. That's why so many people do it. But also my first direct response sales training was based on an option close. You ask a yes or a yes at the end. So I've always been kind of sensitive to that. Like when people ask a yes or a no, and when people only offer one, because that's really like what you're doing is you're only offering one option and it's a yes or a no. But then when you realize that, like, if you get more creative or if you understand the situation, we used to call them down sells in direct selling. There's so many other options. And so it's like, do you want this or that? Okay, cool. Let's do that. Right. And in your case, do you want 1A through C, 2A through C, 3A through C, and you have like 9, 10, 12, 15 options that they could choose from. That's great. I love that. And that's a really big lesson for a lot of people out there is like, every failure can lead to future success. So
absolutely. And I think just asking, and I think a lot of people would be scared or, just so discouraged that it didn't happen for them, that they missed that opportunity. Whereas I said, well, I felt that I did well. So I want to know what I didn't do well, and I'll never make that mistake again. And it was the best response I ever got. And that really helped my business. And I can tell you that in that local neighborhood, that seller still sees my name and sees me selling in that area. And I have him to thank for it.
Wow. There you go. Love that. I'm curious, what's one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made?
So I would say that it was joining Buffini and Company when I first started, which is one of the largest business coaching in the world. And it's very like-minded in terms of how I am as a person and how I want to run my business, which is referral based. And it just kind of resonated with me right off the get-go. And, I have my CRM system in there. And I would say that investing in myself and the coaching and, really just learning how to run that type of business was 100% the biggest investment and the most important investment that I made for myself in my business.
All right. Investing in a coach that resonated with you. I love that. Coaching is so important. I mean, I didn't take my marketing business to the next level until I invested in a coach that resonated with me. And I had done a lot of mindset, a lot of different types of coaching from powerful people like Tony Robbins, and then investing in that coaching program for business and wealth training and, all these things. And Tony says, psychology is 80% of success. The mechanics are the other 20%. And so I was focusing so much on psychology. Like my mindset, my meditation, my vision, my dream board was in line, like to the T, like could not be improved pretty much. Like it was every single day, like waking up, priming, everything. But I was still not experiencing the level of success that I desired. And what I realized was that even though I had nailed the 80%, in my opinion, of like compared to not only other people, but what I would envision like my optimum self looking like, everything was in line as far as mindset and habits, but I was missing the mechanics. I needed the 20% that was missing, and having those mechanics from someone who had done it is so critical. And so I invested in a consulting agreement with a company that had scaled their online business, and they were younger. They were like in their 30s, and they understood marketing and Facebook ads, and they were talking my language in the mechanics department. So once I had all of it, that's when things took off. And so, back to your point, the Buffini Company, having models to work within and put energy into, that's so critical, and working within the right models.
Absolutely. And I think, another kind of quote or, kind of symbolism of many businesses is you don't know what you don't know. So by tapping into those resources, the mentorships and whatnot, I think it's only a value add for yourself, whether you're learning good, bad, the ugly, what you didn't think. I think all that kind of comes into place and allows you a better direction and good takeaways. So that's why I always say, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Don't know what you don't know. Remind me, what's your transaction volume right now?
Yeah, so we're about 30 million in 2020. And each year I can tell you that we're up and growing, which is just amazing. And I'm so grateful for my clients for using my services and referring us. And I think that's just a testament that the longer that you're in business, the better you do for people, the more you're able to grow and support them. And so 2021, we're kind of coming into the end of the first quarter, and it's been another very busy quarter, and it's been up and running since January 2nd. So it's going to be really exciting to see how this year unfolds, because it feels like each month is a new year, because of where the market is accelerating. So that to me is going to be really exciting to see, come December, what has taken place in 2021 and what can we expect for 2022.
Right. Absolutely. And with you being at 30 million and growing, what advice would you give to a real estate broker who might be at 10 million, maybe even 15 million in gross annual transactions, and they're looking to grow? They want to hit 20, 25, 30. What levers did you pull to get to that next level?
It's a really simple list. It's called a start, stop, continue list. I realized from very early on that there were tasks that I didn't like to do. And so if I don't like them, but they are tasks that need to get done, then I need to hire and or delegate. So the start, stop, continue list is something that I do every single year and throughout the year, sometimes editing, adjusting. But I also have my client experience officer, Serena, she does hers. And that has been amazing because I continue to do what I love. I'm able to add new things and do those, but then I'm able to offload or delegate things that are taking too much time or things that I don't want to do anymore. And so I find it really revitalizing each year to be able to say no to this and yes to this, and let's proceed and give it our best. And so I would say that sit down, see what you're doing by doing your start, stop, continue list, and see what is taking your time. If that time frame or the amount of time you're putting towards those tasks aren't yielding you results, then it's time to concentrate on what's yielding you the results and get support from someone else to do those other tasks, because you can't grow if you're doing everything. And some people, especially in real estate or any other business, they do find it difficult to delegate because they micromanage or other different management styles. But really, if you want to run a successful business and be happy when your clients are around, you can't be thinking of the billion other things that you have to do. You have to be present and support them. So they're my number one. Everything else is secondary. And if people don't understand that now, then I think by writing that list, it becomes very apparent.
Yeah, that's a great point. The start, stop, continue. And I'm curious because you say the things that I say no to. Do you have a process for saying no other than I don't like it or, this needs to be done? But like, how do you rationalize that or justify that or think about that when you say, here's an activity or here's a new shiny object, right? And you're like, no, like I'm going to stop that. I'm not going to continue it or start it. Like this is an opportunity I have, but I'm going to stop that or say no to it. What's your process for that?
Yeah, so I rarely say no. I always ask questions. I want to seek information. So I don't know everything. And so when new things kind of come to market or that I see a task that maybe I can be more efficient with or whatnot, I just ask questions. And so it's questions and research. And if something at the end of those questions and research doesn't resonate or makes me excited, then it's probably something that is not for me. And I've taken enough time and energy to figure that out, that it's not for me. So then I know when the right things are there or when something's presented from me, I know that this is right by asking questions and seeing the direction in terms of my start, stop, continue list. So I feel that just by being open and asking questions and letting those questions sink in and doing my own research, it allows me to be very confident in my responses. And if the response is no, it's because it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when you're talking about not saying no right away and just being closed off, being willing to go through the analysis process with things, but at the end of it, if it's not resonating, if it's not exciting you, when you're listening to your gut, if you're like, Nah, it's kind of not something that we are interested in as getting us closer to our mission. Then after that process is when you would say no to something.
Absolutely. And I think that's what people appreciate, that it's not an instant no. And if the questions I'm asking, are having difficulty being answered, then that in itself is something that that person needs to work on in regards to their delivery. Because I can't be the only person asking these types of questions.
Right.
And so if someone has really thought out about all these situations and really came down to why is this important to that person, then these types of questions, I would assume, would already be ones that they would be looking forward and happy to answer.
Got it. With that being said, what bad recommendations do you hear given to real estate professionals? Is there anything like in real estate groups or, I don't know, in the sphere of the real estate community where you're like, oh man, I don't know about that. Like maybe, new agents shouldn't pay attention to that or anything. Are there any bad recommendations that you hear given?
Well, I think that a lot of the times the advice given is that find the shiny objects, chase them down, and do that. I think the bad advice is that you're always chasing and not being comfortable with yourself. It's like you're being told you need to be someone else and not yourself. And so my advice has always been know yourself, be honest with yourself on the type of person and business you want to run, and do that. Don't say, okay, I'm going to try this and then don't give it time. And then I'm going to try this and don't give it time. So I think it's the jumping around. And if something doesn't work, try something else. Well, you have to give things time. You have to, see what your goals are. You have to see the results and you have to measure. And so I find that people jump around a lot. They jump from idea to this, to that, and they're not consistent. And they're also just not listening to themselves and they're being something that they're not. So being comfortable with your own skin, I think, is the most important. And I think that allows me to look at situations that after doing some research just doesn't fit. And I'm okay with that. I don't need the shiny object every time. Sometimes the most important thing is the simplest thing and just do it well.
Yeah. No, I love your statement about that. Like the mastery of simplicity or this doing the simple things to the best. I'm going to go back to that in the podcast and that'll probably be the title because I love that statement of like, doesn't have to be something brand new, shiny in order to like reinvent your business. A lot of times it's just doing the simple things really well.
Agreed.
So, yeah, no, I love that. Hey, how can listeners contact you?
Absolutely. So my website is nickkyte.com. There's all the information, my social media handles. You can find me on all various platforms at Nick J. Kyte on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. I'm there. And, anytime people have questions, concerns, fears, or just want to reach out and be like, oh, I really like that restaurant that you went to that you posted, can you get me a reservation? I'm your guy.
Awesome. I love that. And I'll link to that below. Is there a question I should have asked you or anything that you'd like to expand upon from earlier?
I think if I'm going to leave with one aspect, I do have to come back to being comfortable in your own skin. I feel that others, whether they're your clients, business associates, colleagues, people pick up. And when something doesn't feel right or doesn't sense that it feels right, it turns people off. And so I think being authentic and being who you are and understanding that everyone's unique and it's okay to be different, I think that is something that in any business is valuable.
So true. So I've consulted a lot of businesses on growing their Instagram account. That was all the rage a couple years ago. And I had been fortunate enough to grow my own to about 30,000 followers and a few others over 10K. And so I was like, I might as well just start doing this because I seem to be pretty good at it. And, they changed the algorithm since then. So rather than really focusing on that and the aspect of my current business, we've evolved it into more paid advertising and branding and overall strategy and other things. But the point is, and to your point, there's this moment in the growth process where at first it's really uncomfortable to create all this content from the person that I'm helping grow their page. Creating all this content feels awkward. And then there's this moment where they kind of get burnt out on preparing and doing all this stuff and like putting on a show, and they just be themselves. There's like, it's like a breaking point, but it's also like a beginning, because the biggest influencers in the world are huge because they're a lot of times quirky. And I'm talking about non-celebrity influencers. Of course, if a celebrity starts a page, bam, they have 100 million followers.
Exactly.
But I'm talking about people that are like YouTubers, and, you know, they are some weird dude in a room with a personality, and people love it because they pay attention to the little flaws and the quirks and the humor and the humanity of it all, right? And I really encourage, like, as I did more and more consulting for this, I really encourage people early on to just do that from the beginning. Like, why go through the process of being somebody else and then getting so exhausted with it that you finally become yourself later? It's like, just do it from the beginning. It's going to be easier. You'll resonate with more people, and your numbers will show that. So absolutely. I love it. Well, Nick Kyte, everyone, reach out to him from the links below if you're interested, and really appreciate you being on here. Thanks for all your insights. And yeah, man, we'll connect again soon, I'm sure.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. This was a great time.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening. If you want to accomplish your real estate goals, then I highly suggest downloading my free Ultimate Real Estate Goal Setting Framework. The link is in the description of the show, and it will help you break down your annual income goal into the amount of phone calls, appointments, or open houses you need in order to achieve that goal. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.